Hello, Eurogamers. I am here in Chicago with
Jonatan,
Morin, the creative director of Watch Dogs. And I'm going to ask him a question about the sandbox, because what many people are wondering is how big is the Watch Dogs sandbox and how accurate is it?
It's a pretty big, it's a pretty big city. It's pretty accurate, but you know, when you make an open city, every little choice you make have a huge impact on the game. So there's two elements we wanted to be very careful about. The first one was the gameplay, which is heavily embedded into the environment in Watch Dogs, with the hacking of the bridges, the traffic lights, and all of that. So we took our liberties in how we would shape the different districts. I think there's a lot of deja vu moment, like Chameleon Park here, for example, is pretty similar. Like you have places that are exactly the same, like the canal and the loop and all of those things. So you're going to find a lot of places that are almost exactly the same, while others we switch to make sure that the gameplay balance of the city against the cop, against the enemies would be pretty good. But that's one aspect of it. I think the deepest aspect for Watch Dogs was in terms of what kind of experience you want in a city. So like there's this gigantic, weird, almost weird actually, war going on with scale in the whole game. It's like everybody want to one-up each other, and then when you step back and you're like, okay, why are we one-upping each other exactly? Like what's the purpose of it?
And you're saying bigger is not always better.
I'm saying bigger needs to have a purpose. Like, so, you know, for example, GTA 5 is pretty big, but they have flying jets and stuff like those need space to be interesting to control. So I can actually relate to the space that's required for that one. For Watch Dogs, we wanted to have like 20 minutes of gameplay on a square block. We wanted to be able to walk and look at everybody. We wanted to have an unprecedented density on everything. So we have a huge city, pretty comparable to some of the very big one in the industry, but we didn't want the extra miles to make sure it becomes the biggest city in the entire world. Like, we wanted to become the deepest and the densest city you would have ever played with, because that's what the game is all about.
It's mostly a game that goes on the outside, right?
Yes, there are quite a few interiors in the mission, as well as the ability to go inside buildings through hacking as well. So if you combine those two elements, there's quite a few in the game, but it's definitely focusing a lot on the open aspects of gameplay. So like when you're fighting against the cops or enemies outside, this is where I think the game shines a lot.
Thank you very much.